Welcome to another installment of our video blog for New Church Ministry called Planting a Tree of Life. My name is Roger Burns Watson, and with my wife Janice, we are planting a new church called Tree of Life Christian Church in Delaware, Ohio, and it's a new church plant through the Christian Church in Ohio. On this particular blog, what I want to begin to talk about is issues of community and what relationships and community look like in the 21st century. A couple of weeks ago, I was privileged to go out to Los Angeles to a conference out there called Theology After Google. And what the kind of people that were behind the conference, the organizers of the conference, were wanting to explore what all of this new technology, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, the internet, what all of this meant for theology, what it meant for the church, what it means for how we express the faith and how we live out our life in community together. And one of the strands that was picked up through this conference had to do with the nature of relationships. And was this new technology a hindrance to relationships? Was it getting in the way of authentic relationships as people have defined them? Or was it really opening the door to new types of relationships and new potential? This is really intriguing to us because one of the things that we're trying to do is to create a new model of church that moves beyond kind of that parish, geographic-centric notion of church, which, as I grew up, church was always defined as kind of that community of people in a certain place who went to the same building, who worshiped the same way, who did the same things, and your relationships were very much geographically bound. People would go away, they might keep their membership in a local church, but they would worship someplace else, and that would really become their community. Technology in the 21st century is really pushing whether that kind of definition of church is really what it has to be. We can connect with people in real time around the world. With things like Skype, it makes it possible for people to see one another and talk face to face, again in real time at virtually no expense. With Facebook and MySpace and Twitter and through web pages and things, we can interact with each other. We can be in relationship and not even have to be in the same postal code, in the same state, sometimes even in the same country. So is it possible to create church, to have authentic church in relationships with people whom don't live anywhere near where you're at? Is that something that can happen? This is kind of intriguing for disciples because our own polity is sort of built around this notion of the local congregation as being the center of the ecclesial universe. While we recognize we have three manifestations of church, the general church level in regional churches and local churches, in the design for the Christian church and in some of the changes that have come about, especially in Portland, which reaffirm the centrality of the local congregation, that the regions and the general churches, while authentic expressions of church, exist to promote the ministry and mission of local congregations. But those local congregations are almost always understood in that kind of traditional sense. So is it possible for us to really have a congregation in a community where people don't get together in the same building, don't even live in the same community, yet are in real relationship with one another and really living out church? What does that mean for ministry in your community? Is it possible for people to be part of Tree of Life who live in Florida, who are doing things in their community, bringing the good news to people that are hungry and who are sick and who are homeless and naked, yet they really feel that their affinity and their sense of community is found through participating through this new technology with Tree of Life? This may be kind of a generational conversation. It may be more difficult for folks who are older, not necessarily, but it just may be more difficult for them to really understand relationships being real and authentic if they're not face to face, if we're not sitting down and having a cup of coffee together, if we're not shaking hands, if we're not sitting near each other in a pew on Sunday morning. But it's something that we're really committed to exploring. Kind of end this by noting that we've heard from some other people that there's actually a congregation that's being in formation that is completely designed around internet access. It's for people that either are caregivers for or are themselves disabled or otherwise unable to get out and worship, be part of a local community on Sunday mornings, so that they've created this new church to be able to minister to them where they're at, recognizing that it may span state lines and time zones and other things, but this is where people are going to be able to find a common place to experience church together. So be interested in your feedbacks about what you think. Is it possible to have church that doesn't center on a geographical location? Is it possible to have authentic Christian relationships with people who you don't necessarily see face to face?